Hello, everybody. I am Maria, and I am the admin of the Money Making Esthetician. And today we are joined with Miss.
Me, Daniela?
Yes. Oh my God, I'm so excited. Thank you so much for joining us. One of the reasons why I was so excited is because I feel like some of the questions we get so much is like, I have one esthetician who posted yesterday. She's like, I've been in the treatment room for 2 years now, and I'm making no money, and she's charging $50 per facial or something like that. So I was
Mm.
like, if you just listen to a couple of Daniela's podcasts, you'll know what to do.
Well, and I think that one of the really important things to remember and give yourself some grace with is that we get into this field, we learn aesthetics, we go to school for skin. And when you are mastering a skill, like all estheticians are like, oh, I want to know this technique, this skill. Running a business is a skill as well, and learning all of that. So if you haven't done any of the business side of things, then it's just like going back and being a baby esthetician the first day that you're in school, learning all of that. So you know how long it took for you to build up your skill set of knowing the different acids, or knowing what you can mix, or knowing pH of chemical peels, or knowing how to dermaplane, or how to do lighter lasers, or whatever, you know, part of the industry you're in. Or lash artists, I always hear this, it takes forever to master
No.
lashes or permanent makeup or anything like that. So give yourself some grace and know that, like, leadership is a skill, knowing your numbers is a skill, operating your business is a skill. And it is a full-time job. So when you are focusing purely as the technician, as the person providing that skill, it's really challenging to operate a successful business. And we see this with estheticians, with nurses, with doctors, all the way up, because they're focusing, doctors learn about medicine. Nurses learn about medicine, estheticians learn about skin. We are focused on our craft, not on the actual marketing and operations of the business.
Totally.
Okay, so let me just get an idea of who we have here in the room. Are you guys, tell me if you're solo, if you're medical, if you're day spa, and kind of where you're at in your journey. It'd be super helpful if I could just get an idea. And then we can really kind of gauge the training for that. All right, expanding with employees. Perfect. So probably hiring, onboarding, how to pay them, all of that kind of stuff. New grad solo, welcome to the industry. Solo looking to hire employees. Okay, solo no employees. Okay, great. So let me go ahead and just start. So with Sales Factor, we run a program called Growth Factor. And Growth Factor is our framework. We focus on helping people get into the 7 figures and helping people become work optional in their businesses. And for me, work optional is defined as you can still be in the room, you can still be doing your thing if that's what you love, but you don't have to be. And so our framework goes sales, social, systems, structure, so you can scale. And we also have a pre-work section that's really focused on what is your exit strategy. That's something that's not talked about a lot. Are you wanting to sell your company? Are you wanting to pass it down to your family if you have children, anything like that? Or are you wanting to continue to operate or own the business, but just become an owner and not an operator, and really having somebody in that place for you? So we really start to look at that and understand, what is it that I'm trying to build here? What is it that I'm trying to create? And what is the best path forward for me to be able to do that? And I think we've had about 500 spas go through Growth Factor, all with incredible success. Getting into the 7 figures, really, it's a wonderful program, but we have a limit on, where you have to be revenue wise in order to get into the program. And so not everybody qualifies. And we've realized there's a lot of people in our community that need the initial support with sales. Like, that's the first thing. If you don't have money coming in, you have a very expensive hobby. And so we wanted to do something to be able to help with that part of it. Cause that's, in our groups, on our podcast, like what we're hearing is that's like, what's the pain point right now? It's either hiring or it's generating the enough revenue, which is pretty normal. So we pulled out phase 1 of Growth Factor, which is just purely around sales. And we talk about KPIs in there. We talk about membership. We talk about events. We talk about retail sales. And we give you a ton of resources. And so I wanted to just go through and give you an idea of what some of these resources are so it can spark some interest. And if you guys have any questions about them, then please let me know. So the first thing that I'm going to share is our cost of treatment and profitability tracker. And this is something that, the gal that Maria, you were telling me about that was charging $50 for her facials, that we absolutely do not want to compete with price. We want to compete with our specific competitive advantage. And part of what we need to understand in operating a business is what is the cost of our service? And so we have this spreadsheet here where we're looking at, and this is the example, dermaplane. This is if you have a membership. So if you don't have a membership, don't worry about it. But you could put in facial here, it doesn't, even if you don't offer dermaplaning, it doesn't matter. So for these categories, it could be facials, it could be waxing, it could be lashes, massage, if you're offering that in your location, however you want to do that. And we're breaking down the actual cost in cents of every single thing that you're using. So when I did this example, it was for dermaplaning, which something that I've done a gazillion treatments of. And so I knew the cost really, really well. And so what I'm seeing here is that my total consumable cost is $4.50. And an important factor in going into your pricing is that the consumable cost of your service should never be more than 10% of the retail cost. So I'm not talking about payroll as well, but I'm just talking about the actual supplies that you're using. Now, a question that we get a lot when this comes up is, how do I know how much a pump of product costs? Your vendor, whatever skincare company you're using, should have this calculated out for you. They may have it per application. And if it's per application, then per pump, like let's say you have a product that cost you $35 wholesale and maybe has, 100 applications. So you would take 35, you would divide it by 100, and that would let you know that it's 35 cents per application. That's according to the companies. They're always going to give you, like, if you use exactly the amount and none more, like sometimes they'll say half a pump. And we know that like sometimes we're using the full pump. So I always add a little buffer onto that. I like to add about 20% just to be more conservative in my margins. That's how you're calculating the application. Then what you want to look at also, so on this document, we have our payroll in there. So for those of you that have a team, if you're paying hourly, we have 2 different hourly rates. If you're paying commission, we have 2 different commission rates. And if you're doing hourly plus commission, we have 2 different ones of those as well. And that is going to give you the actual profit on that exact service, and then also the margin in percentage. Now, what we want is that every single product, every single service that you're offering, we want to have a margin. We really want our margins close to 80%. That is the magic number. It's not always going to happen if you're doing a service that has a higher consumable cost, like one of the specialty, like hydrofacial or any type of the machines. They typically have a higher consumable cost, so your margin's not going to totally be there. But when you have a service like dermaplaning that has a very low consumable cost, you want to be able to kind of buff that up a little bit so that you can actually cover some of your more expensive services. So this is how we're looking at pricing is, all right, if I have my consumable costs here, the absolute lowest that I would ever charge for dermaplaning is $45. And so I know for my membership, I'm going to charge $50 to give me just a little bit of a buffer. And no one will ever get a price lower than $50. My membership is always going to get the absolute lowest. Our regular price is $99. And we do that so that we can have a nice big difference between membership and non-membership. And then if we wanted to discount this one in any way, even if we didn't have a membership, we would still have a lot of wiggle room that we could do that. Is that making sense to everybody, or does anyone have any questions around consumable cost or how they're actually pricing their services? Yes, no, maybe so. Okay. If you do, then let me know. This is a small group, so it's very easy to unmute and just ask questions as we go. The next resource that I want to show you guys that I think is an important thing to really be thinking about is our spa capacity calculator. And this is going to help you to understand what services are you going to be offering. So up here, we're looking at, all right, how many hours are you open in the day? What are your breaks? So if you take a 30-minute lunch, you would just put 0.5 there. 3 rooms available. You can change this to whatever room. If you're solo, you just change it to 1. If you're working 5 days a week, you would change it to 5 days a week or 4 days a week. How many weeks you're open per year? I always keep it at 50 unless you work less than that, because with holidays and vacation days and just normal closures, I think 50 is a good number. Okay, so then you're going to put in your treatments. Okay, so Mo's saying, yes, I have a question. We have our $200 facials and are paying my employees overhead, and I'm only making $100 in profit. What's the remedy here? Charge more, pay employees less. Nothing feels right. So what I would look at, Mo, let me just go, I'll go back to this cost of treatment. Give me 1 second and let me pull up a different resource. And so I would first understand your exact profitability, because it might be that the consumable cost is too high on the things that you're offering. You might be able to replace, like, can you source your product, like the actual consumables from somewhere else, depending on how you're paying your employees. So something for me that's really important is managing your finances off of, we're big in profit first. So we do everything on percentages. So your payroll, you should never have payroll above 40%. So if we're breaking down these percentages, if let's say that you do 100,000 in a month, your payroll should not be more than 40,000. And you want your operating cost to be 30,000. You want your profit to be 15,000. You want your tax to be 15,000. So it's 40, 30, 15, 15 is the way that we break it down as far as percentages to understand if you have a healthy business. These are guidelines. So depending on, and this is something that you should go to your CPA and your financial advisor and say, hey, we're wanting to operate our business on percentages. They're going to take into account your household income. If you have a spouse or partner, that generates revenue as well, your tax percentage is going to be based off of a variety of things. So having that initial 15%, it's going to change based on the state you're in, based on your household income, based on the expenses that you have, et cetera. Your operating cost, so like the operating cost for someone that does all facials versus someone that does permanent makeup is going to be very different, because permanent makeup has a much lower cost. You're paying a lot for the skill of that provider. Similar to lashes, lashes do not have a very high consumable cost. What you're paying for is that skill. So if you have a lash studio, your operating costs are probably going to be lower than someone who is doing facials. So really looking at all of those things to map out your percentages and get some wiggle room around there. But something that is not ever going to change is that payroll never goes above 40%. You really start eating into your own profit if you get more than 40%. And most CPAs will want your payroll percentage to be closer to 30%. In spa, that's not always possible, depending on your providers. But just kind of keep that in mind. I am actually going to show the spa capacity calculator first, and then I'll go into the pay plans just to give you an idea. Because it might also be, what am I going to focus on? So we have a lot of accounts that do DMK. And DMK, people love it. They're so great with retail, lots of things, right? So I'm not trying to tell you to go DMK or not DMK. I'm trying to tell you to look at the timing here. If we're looking at doing a 90-minute treatment that's $200, and this is if you can get your treatment to 90 minutes, right? A lot of people are booking out 2 hours. This is exactly the time, including the buffer, so your turnover time. So if you have a 10-minute turnover, a 15-minute turnover, whatever that looks like for you, this needs to include that turnover time. If the service is $200 and it cost you $22 in consumable cost and cost you $27 in payroll, then the total cost of the treatment is this, the profit is this. If you were to only do DMK or enzyme peel or whatever, 90-minute services with these things, this is the revenue that you would bring in a year. This assumes an $18 per hour average, and this assumes these numbers up here of what you would actually be bringing in. If we're looking at a specialty facial that's 45 minutes, is $25 less. It cost more to do, but the payroll is less because it's taking 45 minutes. Your total cost is 54. Total profit is 122. So still less in profit. However, because it's 45 minutes, you have the opportunity to do more. So you can actually generate $1 million in max profit over the year, which seems counterintuitive, right? Because we're looking, hey, this has a higher profit per treatment. This has a lower total cost. But this time is super, super important in everything that we're doing. You can even put facial 1, facial 2, facial 3, facial 4, and look at how much time do I have for all of these and what is my consumable cost, payroll cost, etc., so that I can understand what is going to be the most profitable service for me in the year. We always want to do, and again, I am not anti-DMK in any way. I think they're a great company. But I want you to look at how much does the time that you're blocking off weigh in to the services to the profit that you're generating. So if you're doing a 90-minute treatment or, trying to think, oh, I need to add these longer treatments or these whatever, you need to make sure that that revenue per hour that you're generating makes sense. Okay. So this is an easy way to really calculate what should I be focusing on and how can I be leaning into that? And what a lot of our accounts do is they'll actually sell an initial package if they're a DMK account, and then sell them into a membership after, where they're on the 1-hour treatments because they're really happy with the enzymes. And also, if you have patients or clients that are pregnant or nursing, can't do chemical peels, enzymes are a great alternative for that as well. So I want you to take all factors into account, but also know that it's those 15 minutes, those 10 minutes really make a big difference when you can look at this over the course of the year. Let me pull up for Mo, let me pull up our pay plans. And this is something that we have for administrative teams and for aesthetic providers. So front desk, assistant manager, spa manager, et cetera. Okay. So in full disclosure, this is actually, these pay plans are in structure factor. They are not in sales factor. I know we're talking about sales factor today, but this is something that structure is all about team for us, and the hiring process, the onboarding process, team communication, team growth, how you pay your team, all of those types of things. That is an absolute skill. So what we're doing here on this page is we're looking at if a provider is 40% booked, what is the average revenue that they're bringing into the practice? If a service provider is 80% booked, what is the average revenue that they are bringing into the practice? And then we're looking at the average number of hours, if they're working 8 hours in a day, if they are just working 2 days a week, if they work 50 weeks a year. This is going to say that they'll work 100 days out of the year, 100 or 800 hours. They'll generate 400 or 40,000 for your practice, or 80,000 for your practice on the low and high. So this is your input here. And then what happens over here is a recommendation for a pay plan that has them having some skin in the game. So we have the 90-day onboarding period. We have a junior esthetician, an esthetician, and a lead esthetician. And what we're looking at here is saying, all right, well, when you're in the onboarding period, we are going to pay you a flat rate. And this is going to be different based on where you're at in the country, what the expectations are, all of those types of things. But what we did is calculate in, all right, here, for example, is a $15 an hour base rate. We are also including in the compensation package gratuities and retail to service percentage. The providers would not be getting gratuity or retail to service percentage if they did not work in your spa. And so it's important to include that in there. And so we are doing very minimal assumptions. So 18% gratuity. In all the spas that I've worked at, I've always gotten 20 to 25%. So I always like to be conservative in what I'm estimating, under promise, over deliver. So we're estimating at a lower range. And then the way that we recommend a retail commission is so this is based off of your retail to service percentage. So if you are less than 30% retail to service, you get 0 commission on products. If you are 30 to 39%, you get 10% commissions. If you are 40 to 40%, you get 12% commissions. And if you are 50% or higher, you get 15% commissions. These pay plans are assuming, so this is if you're 40% booked and you're 30% retail to service, based on the numbers that you entered on the input page, your provider would be making $20,400 a year, or $25.50 per hour. If they were 80% booked, they would be generating $39 per hour, or $31,200 per year. Remember, they're working 2 days a week. So this is not full-time inputs. These will all adjust based on what the number of days that those individuals are working. Now, what we recommend for the spa owners when they're looking at this, you do your 90-day onboarding period. You make sure that these things are completed. You make sure that they can perform all of the services. Here's our company teamwork. And then we're setting specific metrics that if you're a junior esthetician, your retail to service has to be this percent. Your client purchase percentage has to be this percent. Your pre-book percent has to be this percent. Average ticket per hour, first retention, existing retention. These are metrics that we recommend. If you don't have to do all of them, you can start with just one or two, but these are really important metrics in understanding the health of your business and the opportunities that are being met from those clients that are coming into your practice. And what we like about this is we don't want our providers to think, oh, I'm only getting 19 an hour or I'm only getting 23 an hour. It's like, no, if you're working 2 days a week, and with gratuity and minimum retail to service, you're making $33.50 an hour, which feels a lot better. But it also like gets some skin in the game for them is the best way to say that. For our administrative plans, we have these as well. So for front desk, assistant manager, spa manager, you're inputting the information. And then this is going to say, all right, here's how the front desk should be compensated. Here's how an assistant manager should be compensated. Here's how the spa manager should be compensated. And again, these are all, they all vary based on your state. These are just kind of placeholders. So anything in yellow can be adjusted. And then everything up here is a formula. And so we're having here, what are some KPIs for the front desk? Are the phones answered by the third ring? Are all voicemails returned by the end of the day? Are all emails responded to? What's our customer satisfaction? Inquiry conversion. So that means if someone sends an email or asks a question, how many of those do we actually convert into appointments? If you have a membership, how many memberships is the front desk selling? The assistant manager, we're obviously looking at customer satisfaction score for them as well. The number of Google reviews, the project completed by the due date, OSHA HIPAA compliance. And then the spa manager is the monthly financial goals and leadership team evaluation. So we're kind of looking at all of these different things in how are we compensating our teams appropriately and what are the expectations that we have for them as we're hiring. Something that I see quite often is that people hire as a Band-Aid and they start making I'm so busy, I'm so overwhelmed, I just need help. But we're not setting them up for success because we're not onboarding them properly. We're not clearly communicating our expectations to help them succeed. These employees are not mind readers. We really need to be, as the spa CEOs or as the spa managers, we need to be nurturing them, developing them, helping them to achieve the goals of the company. But back to sales, I know we have some new people in here. So new solo new employees. What do you guys feel for those of you that are solo? Are you having trouble generating revenue? Are you having trouble getting new clients? Like what are the biggest pain points that are coming up for you around being a solo and generating revenue? Are you paying yourself? It's a great question. Time. Getting clients. Okay. So Libby, for the time, do you just feel there's just not enough hours in the day? You're trying to do all the things. Is that what you mean by time? Okay. How are you with boundaries? Libby, are you comfortable unmuting and just talking to me? instead of typing?
Yeah,
you're nodding.
hi.
Hi. Okay. So tell me what your schedule is like.
I work Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday from 10 to 6, and then Friday and Saturday from 10 to 4.
Okay, so you're working 5 days a week.
Yeah.
Okay, and when are you working on the business?
In between my clients and then on my days off. I also have like a whole education. I teach online waxing, so I have like a whole nother business also.
How's that going for you?
Amazing.
The online waxing is going amazing.
Everything's amazing. I'm really grateful. I do everything. So my sister helps me with my online business, but I'm always working.
And what would be your ideal week? What would you like? What would be, I have time for myself, I have time for my family or friends.
I want to
No.
drop a day, actually. That's what I would like to do, and only work 4 days.
It's 4 days in the treatment room.
Yeah.
Okay. And are you paying yourself what you want to pay yourself?
Yes.
Okay, great. And what happens if you break your arm?
Oh God. Then I focus all on my online business, which I'm
Okay.
super grateful for. Yeah.
Great.
I mean, my sister just had open heart surgery and she
Oh my
can't
goodness.
work. Yeah. And so we're really super thankful that we have a second business.
It sounds amazing. I mean, these are the things that I worry about with solos, and
Yeah.
you have an answer for all of it. And so I feel really excited and happy for you. I think that for me, for my, my brain, I'm not very good at context switching.
Mhm.
And so if I am in coach mode, I'm in coach mode. If I'm in content creation mode, I'm in content creation mode. It takes me a good half hour to get into the flow.
Mhm.
And so I find that I'm much more productive by doing some type of time blocking, where saying, maybe I'm available to see clients for waxing on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, maybe, and I'm just pulling arbitrary days. This can be any day. And then maybe on Thursday, I'm solely focused on my online business. And then on Friday is when I am doing admin, all of the other things that go into operating this business, or giving myself a day off.
Yeah.
But when you're trying to do things in between your clients, it makes you feel scattered. It makes you feel that you're just not as efficient.
Mhm.
And so I think that really setting a schedule and getting clear on how can I get my waxing business exactly where I want it? How can I get my training business exactly where I want it and get more of my time back?
Yeah. I guess my problem with my waxing business is I've been doing this for a really long time, and I don't want to have employees anymore. So there's only so much I could grow that. Like, I don't want to manage people again. So I guess that's where I'm a little bit stuck in, because I'm older now and I don't want to be in the treatment room forever. But so I guess that's where I'm sort of having like a roadblock, because I really don't want to manage people anymore.
Well, I mean, when I asked you what happens if you break your arm, and I asked that seriously because I had a solo that I was working with that got into a car wreck and she couldn't work for 6 months.
Yeah. No,
And
yeah, totally.
it's a real thing that, like, when you rely on your hands, that's a really important thing to have in consideration. You said I would focus on my training business.
Right.
I mean, would it be the right time for you to slowly, as you're reducing days in the room, and just move more into the training and get your training business to replace the revenue from your waxing business?
I mean, I guess ideally, but I love my people and I'm a people person. So I work at a Sola and I love being around my hairstylists like that. I really enjoy it and I enjoy my clients. So I don't want to like step away from it like that much. I feel like there's, obviously there's only so much money I can make being me, so
Do you know your number?
yeah, I know all my numbers.
No, do you know your number, what you want to pay yourself to be happy?
Oh, no.
So I would sit on that. I would really look at like what makes my life, what would make me feel like a queen? How much money do I need to pay myself? Am I in my forever home? Do I like to fly first class? Do I
I've never flown first class.
okay. I mean, try it out. See if you like it's whatever you want to do. But you
I always
need to
say that
calculate.
when people tell me about first class. I'm like, I've been traveling since I was a kid and I've never flown first class.
I
like,
always fly first class and I love it. But I pay for it with my credit card points.
yeah.
So for me, it's so much faster. It's so much more convenient, but I also travel a lot.
Mhm.
And so it's all right. And so it is, Rachel. First class is a goal of mine. It is night and day for me. You have so much more room. The room is the biggest thing. I just hate feeling so squished.
Yeah.
But anyway, whatever it is that makes you happy, I have a girlfriend who has an insane business and more than enough money to fly private, and she always just flies regular because it's not a big deal to her. So it's really about what makes you happy and what you need. And if you understand that number, then you can gradually say like for me, for example, I'm going to be 42 in May, and I know that I want to be done working. I want to be work optional by the time that I'm 50. And so that doesn't mean that I'm never going to work another day in my life. I love what I do, but I want to be at a point financially that should I choose to never work a day again, I would be okay. And so I make the decisions in my business based off of, am I getting closer to that goal? And so for you, if you decide, okay, I love being in the room right now, but I need an extra day. It's about, you can increase your prices slightly. You can just take one day off each year, depending on what your timeline is of when you want to get out. And give yourself a gradual timeline and then start a plan that's like, all right, if I have this online training, which is also something that we talk about in scale in Growth Factor, because a lot of people, they either want to buy their building, they want to get into coaching or training, they want to open a second location, they want to start a skincare line. When you're able to be out of the room and have your business operate without you, it's like, well, what's next? What do I do next? What am I interested in? What am I excited about? And
Are you
really,
still in the room?
me?
Yeah.
Oh, I haven't been in the room for years.
Oh, okay.
Years. Yeah.
How long?
Oh gosh. 6 maybe?
Do you miss being in the room?
No, I don't. And the reason that I don't is because I get fulfillment and connection from our coaching clients. And so our company, we work with spa owners all around the world. And so for me, I'm getting that fulfillment and that connection from that space.
That makes sense.
So, and I would go, I would work. So my background is more medical. I started in derm offices and worked in plastic surgeons offices and med spas and kind of everything in between. And this is year 9 of our company. And I would, up until about 6 years ago, I sometimes would work just 1 day a week or 2 days a week just to kind of keep my hands in it.
Yeah.
But yeah, then this business just really started growing and evolving and required all of my time.
Where are you guys located?
I'm in DC.
Oh, okay. You look amazing.
Thank you.
Thanks
Thank
for
you.
answering my questions.
You're so
That
welcome.
really helps.
I'm glad. I'm glad. Okay. So Christina says, currently not paying myself, been open 2 months, generating new clients. Okay. So 2 months, that is brand new. What I would say, Christina, in looking for, I would do an event. Christina, are you comfortable talking?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So tell me about your location. Are you in a solo suite or something like that? Or do you have a storefront?
I'm in a suite, not a solo, but similar.
Okay. Okay. And what have you done so far to generate clients?
I did promos the first month that I was open. And then I'm doing another promo this month for like 10% off facials. Skin is like what I specialize in. And I have 2 networking events coming up this month.
Okay. Where are you? So you're offering promotions. Where are you actually sharing that on social media? Do you have an email list? Are you doing paid ads?
I do mostly social media. I have text promotions, email promotions, stuff like that. Hand out my business card to everybody.
And how many people are on your email list?
About 80.
Okay. And what town are you in?
I'm in Pittsburgh.
So you guys have a lot of universities there, right?
We do, yeah.
Yeah. So have you, do you have any money set aside for a marketing budget?
Currently, no, but I could definitely look at that more.
Could you get maybe 100, 150 bucks together for a marketing budget?
Yeah.
Okay. So what I would look at is creating a video view ad that you can target specifically your zip code. And I would film yourself doing a facial. You're not selling anything. It's you filming yourself in what's going to look like the most relaxing, luxurious experience. Okay.
Okay.
And then I want you to set that up as a video view ad on Facebook or Instagram or both, however you want to do that. And video view ads are going to be usually like 1 to 3 cents per view, very, very low. And so if you're targeting it in your specific zip code or targeting a specific school, which a lot of like you can target in Seattle, you can target people that work at Amazon. So depending is I think Carnegie Mellon's there, right? So there's a lot of I have a cousin that went there, and I have a bunch of cousins that still live there. I'm Greek and Italian, so I have a million cousins, and a bunch of them live in Pittsburgh because they went to schools there. So anyway, you can target those universities, and you would then get them to click on the link, which would bring them to your page. And then when someone follows your page, your social media page, your Instagram, you get the notification that says so-and-so followed you. I want you to go to that individual that followed you, and I want you to send them a voice message and say, hey, thank you so much for the follow and for supporting my business. I'd love to invite you in to receive a service. We're doing this, say whatever. You want to start a conversation with them.
Okay.
And that is a really low cost way. When we're looking at any type of funnel conversion, a 2% is considered a win. So if you message 100 people, let's see, what is 2? Is that 2? 2% of 100?
Yeah.
Okay, math. Then that would actually be considered a working funnel. So I don't want you to get discouraged if you're like, oh my gosh, 100 people followed me and only 2 people actually came in. What we're looking at in getting people in the door is our lifetime customer value. So if you can get someone in, get your hands on them, start doing a treatment, it's not that one treatment that we're looking at. We're looking at the lifetime customer value. And this is something that you'll get to know what yours is really probably by the end of year 2. Because your first year, you're just always in growth. It's like, what am I even doing? How am I going to get people in? And your main thing is, how can I get in front of as many people as possible? How can I go to as many networking events? I'm sure Maria's talked about the Facebook groups strategy that that's worked so well for her. There's just anything and everything you can do to get your hands on somebody. And this is especially if, so are you a new esthetician, or are you new as a solo?
New solo. I've been doing this for 2 years.
Okay.
So kind of new, but not really.
Okay. It's just the more people, the more skin types that you can work on, the better. And ask for referrals. Say the best thing that you can do is post in a mom's group or make a recommendation. I'm really working to build my business up, so that would be the greatest thing that you could do for me.
Okay.
Is send a referral. So we have to ask for what we need and what we want. And if you ask for it, it will typically happen. But if you don't ask, people never think to leave a review unless it's a negative one. But if you ask for a review, then, oh, sure, I'd be happy to. Right. So we need to ask for those reviews as well. And just really look at social media as a two-way street of how can we have conversations with these individuals in the DMs. But it's consistency is key here. Yes, ask for reviews. That's going to really also help you to get on the front of Google. So reviews are huge in that. And when we're looking at a brick and mortar business, SEO, which is search engine optimization, if people are searching for facials Pittsburgh, you want to come up on that first page.
Okay.
You can also look into Google pay-per-click ads, but I wouldn't go that route until you have some reviews built up and until you've actually maximized your Google business profile. So making sure that you own your, I don't know what they call it. They have to like send you something in the mail that says that, verify that you actually are at that location. And then you can upload pictures and content and all kinds of stuff. But having owning your business profile is going to be absolutely huge. And then make sure that you respond to all of the reviews that you get.
Okay.
Mo's asking, how does one qualify for our coaching program? So Sales Factor, there's no qualification. Anybody can purchase. Growth Factor, we want you to be at a minimum of 150,000 in revenue in the past 12 months. I would say most of our spa owners are between 500 and $1 million right now. We just had a gal join last week that was at 2 million. So we're really attracting this is the career that they are doing. This is their thing. And that was intentional because we want to continue to attract a higher level client. And that shouldn't discourage anybody that's at 150. I have no idea what your business is at, Mo, so I'm not trying to project anything. But when you put yourself in a room with people that do have a 7-figure spa, it makes it so much more possible for you. It makes it like, oh, this is what they're doing. Oh, this is how they're doing it. Oh, this can be a reality for me. I've noticed that in my own business is I always try and surround myself with people who are doing bigger things than me, who's achieved things that I have not achieved yet. And how can I be around them and learn from them so that I'm not the biggest fish in the room? I think that has helped me tremendously to grow my business and to see what is possible.
I think that Mo is actually a great person to bring on. So she just scaled her business, I believe, in San Diego. Her treatment room is amazing. But I'll send you Daniela's information as well. She also does a lymphatic drainage class as well. So I think that she's a great person to be on.
So is Mo doing, Mo, are you doing training as well? Like Libby, or are you?
Hi. Yes, so I'm also doing online trainings. I have a couple of employees. It's what I was just referring to in the chat, like I'm having trouble scaling as far as like, just trying to like live that dream life of like not working or like being like work optional, like you mentioned. I have a daughter, so I'm just trying to be at home more with her.
Mhm.
So I actually just switched my schedule and I only work 2 days in the treatment room now. And then another like 2 or 3 days working like on the business,
Mhm.
on my computer and such. But yeah, I mean, all of this just sounds very interesting because like I had mentioned earlier in the chat, when I was like really breaking down everything as far as numbers and such with my employees, it's like I'm only pulling in like a 50% profit. So I mean, I would like to get to that 80%. So I'm just trying to think of,
Yeah, there's,
that you considered.
so I have a 5-year-old and a 2-year-old. So I totally know, like I always adjust my schedule. Right now, so now my son is in preschool. This is the first year. So I essentially work from 9 to 2, 9 to 3. That's kind of my work schedule is when they're in school. And then have the other time off to be mom, right? I had kids later in life. And it was very intentional, and I love my baby so much. I also love what I do, and I love making money, and I love helping women. And so it's really like navigating, depending on the season of life that you're in, how can you set it up so that you have the best of both worlds? And I definitely, when my kids were younger, my schedule was a little bit different. Like I would do a 4-day work week, or I would do, like shifting it based on the needs of my family. Because until this month or until this year, my husband was active duty. And so we moved all the time as well. And it's not uncommon for him to be out of town for 2 or 3 months, or 2 or 3 weeks of a month. And in fact, right now he's at the North Pole, like literally at the North Pole, with the military. So I think that you can be a mom and you can have that life, and you can also have your business. You just have to go step by step and set it up in a way that supports you. And sometimes that means a little bit slower growth. But that's okay, right? We've got so much time. And for me, it was worth it to grow a little bit slower than I could have, so that I had that time with my kids, when they were still home.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that that's kind of what is intriguing to me about your program and such is, like I've had opportunities like with investors and everything. Like I've been completely self-funded this whole time. I'm a single mom. I'm just like trying to balance all of it. And like for a long time, like I didn't want to have employees. And now I have accepted like employees is the way that I need to go. And for me, it's just kind of like balancing because the services that I offer are very unique. So it's like a lot of upfront, just like a lot of like training. And so it's like a really big investment for me bringing in employees. And then like for me right now, like my one of my estheticians, like she like after I just broke down everything, like her retention rate of her pre-book is like maybe like less than 20%. So that's also like I'm just like, I don't know, like how, so I even received a treatment from her and the treatment was great. So I'm like trying to figure out like why I'm like, this should be a 90%, pre-book rate. Like, I
So
mean,
you should
I,
actually be calling the clients.
yeah,
So I would get on the phone, because typically when someone like, we get questions of like, okay, well, let me back up. I believe that as the spa owner, It's your responsibility to get your providers busy. And it's the provider's responsibility to retain them. And so when we're looking at like any type of issue of getting someone, for me, 80% booked is full. And because there's always a little bit of, wiggle room with cancellations and times that things are booked and whatnot. But you either have a lead flow problem or you have a retention problem. And if you broke down those numbers and you see that you have a retention problem, then I would call her last, 15, 20 clients and say, hey, I'm the owner of the business. I really just want to make sure that you're getting, I would love to hear your feedback. What a lot of our clients have done is actually offer like a complimentary upgrade in exchange for 15 minutes of your time, to offer some candid feedback of how to help us get better. And feedback is hard sometimes to hear, but if you can look at it as this individual, if you're asking for the feedback of how can we improve, you may not always accept it. And it may say, well, we're going to keep it like this because of this, but it's really great to hear that feedback and at least take it into consideration as to why they're not rebooking. Did they get asked to rebook? Was it price? Was it quality of service? Was this gal talking to them the whole time and they didn't want to be talked to? It's really like, and that's to Libby's point, saying we can secret shop her, like you can, and understand like what is going on from those patients or clients that have come in. But I think that that's a really employees. I think when you feel comfortable in leadership and you have clear communications of what you need to be supported, there's nothing better than employees. And they can be the best and the worst. And ultimately it comes down to you because it's your ability to lead. So if you're attracting the right people and you're leading them appropriately, having a team of employees is the most supportive, incredible thing possible. But leadership is a skill and it's a hard skill to learn, and it takes time and it takes looking at yourself and it takes having tough conversations and a lot of stuff that people just don't want to do. And that's okay. You don't have to. But you also, if you're doing training, you also have the same option of leaning into the training side of your business and slowly, either selling the practice that you have now or, phasing it out in some way or capacity to doing what ultimately is going to make you the most happy. That's the thing. We don't want ego attached to it. We want to understand, how am I going to make the money that I need to live the life that I want to live that is ultimately going to make me the most happy, which is defined differently by every single person.
Yeah, I totally understand that. I think employees have just been kind of like a big like pain point for me.
They are for a lot of people.
Through
For
expanding
everybody.
my business and such. Like I feel like I just kind of have like a unique, like if I wanted to, I could be like fully booked in the treatment room like 5 days a week. Like I'm also charging like a premium price as well. It's just like I just can only do so many facials in a day and like, still like feel like I'm like living like a healthy life and taking care of myself and my body. So, I would like to chat with you more. I'm definitely going to look into your offerings, but I have to run into an
Oh, I'm
appointment
sorry.
right
I
now.
didn't even realize
So
it was 2:00.
no, it's okay. But I really appreciate just getting the chance to just talk with you and have some questions answered. So thank you so much.
Thank you guys. Thanks for having me, Maria. Sorry, I wasn't looking at the clock. I know in spa we got our appointments.
No, I'm totally, it's so funny. Every time I hear you like going down, you make it sound so easy, and I'm like always on fire, like sitting here taking notes. Every time I do a live, I love to do a challenge, especially with the people, because I feel like one of the reasons why I love it is like you give really like take action, like for example,
Yes.
the Facebook thing, right? And I'm like, okay, go. Because you can take as many courses as you want, but if you're not taking action, you're going to be in the same place.
Mhm.
So for those of you listening, Danielle literally broke it down on how to do a video, right? For like, it was $150 in your zip code. And I actually did that because you had said it a long time ago to send a voice note to everybody. So I worked with influencers, and
Mhm.
everybody follow I would get, or every like, I would send everybody a DM, and I would probably get like at least 7 appointments per DM,
Wow.
which is great. Well, now that I've heard you say it, but that's a challenge for you guys. And then 2, I really appreciate you taking the time and like breaking it down for like Mo and Libby and Christina, because I feel like it's just a special touch, you know?
Yeah, I mean, we believe at our company, collaboration, not competition. And when women come together and help and support, then good things always happen. So for us, whether you join our programs or not, we still want to support you in any way that we can, and really help to elevate this whole industry as a whole. You know, we provide tons of free content. We provide incredible paid content. But we're just always looking to do what we can do to help women thrive. So our company is called AddoAesthetics. Can you share? That's the website. I'll just we're AddoAesthetics everything. So our website, our Instagram, all of those things, that's us. And our podcast is called Spa Marketing Made Easy.
And it's literally
we have
easy.
Yeah, we have over 300 episodes of straight to the point education. We have declined all of our paid ads, all of those things. We actually hit number 14 out of 11,000 in the marketing category on Apple Podcast. So we're starting to get a lot of really lucrative advertising deals, and we continue to turn them down because for us, that's not what it's about. It's about we're using our podcast to showcase who we are, and we obviously make money through our coaching programs. And plus I get super annoyed with ads. So I didn't want to do it. Rachel Lipton. Thank you, Rachel. So glad.
I put so that's the Google that I saw on your thing. Let me take this off. Which is the intake form.
What is that? Oh, to book a call?
Yeah, to book a call.
Yeah. Yep. So if you want to, if you want to book a call with one of our coaches, Amanda is doing our calls right now. It's a 30-minute call, and we really just dive into your business, and we give you just an honest recommendation of, you know, if there's any of our programs that you would be a great fit for, if we were able to help and support you in any way. But we always want to leave everybody with good advice. Anybody that does a call, we also will mail you a complimentary copy of my book, which I don't know where it is, but it's called Growth Factor for Spas, just as a thank you for doing a call with us.
Aww. Are there any more questions? If not, because I know. What coaching program do you recommend and would refer to those who haven't made 6 figures revenue yet? Can we still
that would be, yeah. So if you're not at 6 figures yet, then I would look into Sales Factor. And if Sales Factor feels too overwhelming or too much, then just start with the podcast. And you'll get an idea, like the spreadsheets that I was sharing with you today. That's all. I mean, we have probably 30 different resources inside of Sales Factor. So I want you to take action. That's my ultimate goal. But Sales Factor is going to say, all right, here's the KPIs that you should be tracking. If you want to do a membership, here's the way that you should structure that. If you want to host events, here's the way that you should structure that. If you want to, here's some training around retail sales. Here's how you should do consultations. It's all about generating revenue in your spa. So, and then we give like a gazillion resources in there as well.
Literally. And then the different types of income. And then you also did like a couple weeks ago about hosting a 7-figure spa event. So much information on the podcast, which I could also link.
Yeah. Yep.
Like you're right there. So thank you so much. I'm also going to send this out via newsletter for everybody to watch replay. We'll put it in the group. Is there anything else you would like to add?
Just believe in yourself. You know, there's what I have found, and we are a 7-figure coaching company. We've worked with thousands of women in a variety of different countries. We've worked with some of the top skincare brands in the world, top derms, all of those things. And what I have seen over and over and over and over again is that when women believe in themselves and what they're capable of, it is incredible what they can accomplish. So I know that it seems hard right now in the beginning, and maybe it seems slow, but just remember that every day is a new day, and keep going, keep working towards your dream. It is possible for you if you have that in your heart.
Oh, well, thank you so much for joining us.
Yes,
And then hopefully we do another one.
I would love it. I would love it. All right, my dear, I appreciate you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.